Hey, this is Stephanie.
And I'm Nina.
And you're listening to Live by the Spirit podcast.
Hello.
Welcome back.
What be up?
We're so good. We're not recording on a Sunday or a Monday. We're ahead of schedule. Look
Very
at us.
true. Which is good. It's been crazy couple of weeks, but we are.
I know.
We're getting back on our game. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
We're attempting to get back on our game.
Nina and I were talking about this. July was the best month of the year. We were both so busy. We constantly both had things going on, and I love that. I thrive when I am busy. Like, that's when I'm the happiest. That's when I have the most amount of energy. You would think when you know I have time of rest, that's when I have the most amount of energy. But I think when I'm crazy busy, and so,
well, you feed off the energy
Yeah.
of you like constantly moving.
yeah,
That's why busyness is where the enemy gets you,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're just going, and you have zero time to rest in who the Lord is. Sorry,
Well,
side tangent.
also, the enemy can get you in the stillness too when you're staring at a wall.
Very, very, very true.
Well,
Yes.
Nina and I have decided, you might have seen some posts about this or things like that, that we're going to start a new series. It's going to be called The Lies that the Enemy Tells Us.
Or it could just be Lies of the Enemy.
Lies of the Enemy.
That'll probably be shorter for the podcast titles.
Yes.
But yes, the full one is
Yes,
the lies that the enemy has told us.
We were trying to figure out exactly what we wanted to talk about today, and the topic that we're going to be talking about today is a lie that the enemy has been hitting me very hard all week. And so I was just in prayer, and I really felt encouraged by the Lord, and I felt the Lord saying that I needed to talk about this and be open about this, not only with myself, not only with God, but with Nina, my best friend, and then you guys too. So
Yeah, and so then that stemmed into, well, we could also talk about this, and then it stemmed into, let's make this a series. And I think that this series, like you said it right beforehand, but I think that this series could go a long time. Like, not that this needs to be every week we're doing a new lie, but like I think it's definitely good to then pop back in and like, let's talk about these things.
Yes.
So.
Which also, we're trying to cut these podcast shorts. We just have such good times talking, and then we're like, oh no, it's been an hour and like 10 minutes. We need to shut up.
Yeah. So I have a timer set this time. So if you ever hear my timer go off,
that's why.
Yes. I know
quiet.
exactly what my timer sound is too.
Oh no. Is
It's-
it da-da-da-da?
No,
Or is it
because last night I set my timer for my chicken that I was cooking, and then the dog started
the
barking at me.
dogs.
And every time I set a little timer to take a nap, I forget that it was set to that from when we played Fishbowl, and it startles me awake.
That was my mom's like actual ringtone. So
it's
when I hear that,
terrifying.
it makes me think of my mom. But
To me, it makes me think, run, be scared.
run. It's just like me growing up with 12 dogs. I'm like, oh, it's just a normal day. The dogs are in.
It's like, and it's abnormal for me to be hearing dogs in my house. So it's like, then for me to hear that, it's like, what the heck?
Yeah. No, side note, sorry.
Yeah,
we're already
sorry.
off topic, but it was so interesting. Our friend, our one of our pastors, has three little boys, and we were at the park with another friend who brought their dog, and her three sons have never been around dogs before. So it was interesting seeing one super excited, one super nervous. And, you know, for me, I've always grown up with a ton of dogs. Like, my parents, when they brought me home from the hospital, set me down on the ground in my like carrier and had all the dogs come sniff me. One of my favorite photos of my mom and I, it's in my bathroom. It's her holding me as a newborn with two beagles sleeping on her legs. So it's so interesting how you are raised, how, you know, when it comes to just dogs, but that, you know, makes me think of other things too. But
And dogs even know, like, because that's why you introduce them to the baby at such a young age, as they then know, and they're protective of that baby, and they know how to be gentle. It's so cute. I love the videos of like the dogs meeting the babies for the first time. They're so cute.
I definitely, when I get married, want to have a dog, at least one dog before I have kids, just because I loved having a dog. I loved having dog. I grew up on a ranch with all kinds of animals, but just having that comfort, that supportive animal. So it's crazy, but anyways.
See, I could have said I wanted a dog, but then I'm around dogs at my aunt's, and there's dog hair that gets everywhere, and then I just think, like, would I actually want to clean up after this? And I don't know that I would want to.
I'm just used
I
to
think
it.
I'm a good dog sitter. I used to dog sit a lot.
Nina?
Or I'm a dog visitor.
Nina was trying to for months to try to convince me to get a dog. She's like, I'll help you take care of it.
I wanted the dog. So I wanted her to get the dog so I could reap the benefits without having to take care of it. You know?
The doggy ant life one day.
Exactly.
One day. Well, anyways, you're probably wondering, what's this lie the enemy's been?
Yes. Stephanie, what is the lie that we are talking about today?
Body image.
Body image.
Just not feeling confident in my skin, or I guess our skin, and different things like that. So, I guess I can quickly start a little bit kind of about me when it comes to history of body image. I grew up as a dancer, if you guys heard from my testimony, and so I saw many of girls struggle with body issues. I have been blessed in my life where I've been tiny my entire life. I had a very fast metabolism. I was the kid that could eat like a Big Mac and a large fry and never gain weight. And then it was until recently, I just turned 25 in January, where I started noticing, wow, I'm gaining weight. I'm also
faster than before.
And I thought, well, maybe it's because I'm not active. And I'm like, no, I don't know. And it's, I had a conversation with my father, and it's like, no, it's because your metabolism is slowing down the older you get. And I'm like, oh no. And I have always had body image issues, even when I was in high school. And I look back at photos of me in high school, and I'm so jealous. And I wish, jealous in the fact that I wish that I could go back and tell myself, why do you think you're fat? You're not.
Yeah.
You are the skinniest you're ever, like, you're skinniest probably you're ever going to be, in a healthy way, I should say. Yeah. And I hate that the whole entire time I thought I was big. But for me, I never had a diagnosed eating disorder, but I'm gonna tell you this, there were several days where I never ate, and it's so interesting. I feel like there's two types of people when you're having body image issues. When it comes to not having like a good healthy mindset, you either don't eat or you overeat.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't eat, and I could probably go days without eating. And that's just like, oh, I need to lose a couple pounds. I'll just have one meal today, and it'll be very small. And I hate them. That's where my brain goes. But that's just the unhealthy patterns that I have set across. So, So anyways, this week, for some unknown reason in particular, I've been really hit really hard by the enemy. And I was just telling Nina, I was like, I did a really hard workout on Monday. It's like, I make sure, because I'm home all the time and I'm laying around, I try to get up and do something active a few times a week, but I went a little too ham.
I love that word,
ham. Yeah. And I have been so sore ever since. And believe me, I think being sore is good because it means that you worked your body, but then I'm like,
but there's a point of pushing it.
Yeah. And I am gonna be honest, I hate working out. I always have. Same. That's why I used to love dancing, because I was, and you can agree, Nina was also a dancer, where you relate. But that's why I loved dancing so much, was because I got a really good workout with something that wasn't me lifting weights.
Yeah. And it's fun.
Yeah.
You get to listen to music.
We need to do a Zumba class together.
Dude.
We should.
Zumba scares me. Those moms go hard.
They do, but it's fun. But anyways, that's been my journey with body image issues when it comes to, lives from the enemy. We'll get into it a little bit more, but I want to make sure Nina has a chance also to share a bit about her struggles.
Yeah, I feel like mine's very different from yours. Never having a problem really with like a food relationship in that aspect of it. But I think that obviously in our culture, we are kind of wired based on social media to compare ourselves to other people. So I struggle with comparison a lot. And it's not even a body image problem. It's a comparison problem. Like,
Same.
I sit here and I will all day be like, well, Steph's arms are skinnier than mine. Well, Steph's thighs aren't as thick as mine. Or like, I will nitpick every single thing and be like, okay, well, this person has this and they look like this. That means I need to look like this to have that. And so it's like, especially in a season where both of us are single and we're not in relationships, it's like, then that becomes an attack from the enemy of like, okay, maybe this is why. And so I can look back and remember kind of like what you were saying, thinking I was bigger. I was not. I was very thin. And it's like to now, and it's like, I don't think either of us are unhealthy weight at all. Like, I think we are both healthy weight.
Yeah.
And so it's like, to look back at myself now, it's like, oh, I was a lot skinnier then. But just because I'm bigger now, it's healthy weight. And it's like needing to look at it as like I wish I looked like this. I wish I looked like I did when I was 15. You were also 15 years old. You are never going to look like you were when you were 15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think the comparison game, it's so interesting to me because I think if we didn't have social media, it wouldn't, for me at least, wouldn't be so bad. Like,
yeah, I
yes,
would agree.
I think we would compare each other to each other's bodies, to our friends' bodies, and different things like that. But I feel like every time I scroll through Instagram or TikTok, I see these girls with these really flat stomachs, because that's like where my biggest insecurity comes from. Nina knows this. A majority of our friends know this. I have really bad gut issues. I can't have dairy. I can't have a lot of kinds of foods, but the thing is that I love those certain kind of foods, so I choose to eat them anyways. But then I'm constantly bloated. I haven't seen my stomach not bloated in a while since probably before we went to the beach trip. I was so bloated on the beach trip.
I think you went a while without eating those foods, and then you were like, I'm on vacation, I don't care.
Yeah, and it's been hard for me to kind of track back since. But so for me, for me, when I was younger, I obviously had a flat stomach, was in dance. I had a bit of tone in my tummy. I felt confident in a 2-piece swimsuit, that type of thing. And then when I started realizing I was having all these gut issues and not sure how to properly fix said gut issues, I started becoming obsessed with trying to get a flatter stomach. And they say a flat tummy, 90% food, it's 10% working out. And for me, I need to be really dedicated to the foods that I can't eat. And sometimes that's hard. I mean, I'm living on my own. I'm single. I am the only one putting money into my bank. I have bills to pay and things like that. And sometimes it is just easier for me to buy the cheaper product that has the item that is not good for my stomach. Versus the more expensive vegan option, things like that. But anyways, I think the biggest thing, like you were saying, is comparison. And Nina and I, actually, it was crazy. I was feeling really heavy yesterday about this, and I decided to go on TikTok, and I felt the Lord say, look up untoned stomachs. So women untoned stomachs. I kid you not, I looked that up. This girl on TikTok came up. Emma, is it Gillian Fit? It's it's underscore Emma Gillian, GILLIGAN_fit. This girl works. We were just talking about her. This girl works out. She is very fit in every way, and she makes all these videos about how like bloated she is throughout the day. Like, she'll start from the beginning of the day, midday, end day, and it made me for once feel like I was not alone.
Well, and also, like, we don't understand that people are not paying attention. So it's like, you might think that you're bloated. I can tell you, I have never once thought you were bloated. And then you would point it out to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've never noticed that. Yeah. Like, so it's like the things that are such an insecurity of ours, like 99% of the time, like, nobody else is paying attention to that thing.
Yeah. Well, and it sucks, like, I've had, for instance, we were on this beach trip. So this whole summer I've been buying like newer swimsuits to wear for this beach trip, and I've been buying all these higher waist swimsuit bottoms, and I used to make fun of them because I thought they, gonna be honest, looked ugly. And the reason I've been wearing them is because I've been so self-conscious about my bloating. And I will say, I feel like I look confident. I feel more confident in it, because you can't obviously see what I see, but then at the same time it's like, why did I do that? Like, I should learn to embrace my body the way it is.
Well, and then she'll put on her swimsuit, lay down, and roll it down to where the normal swimsuit would be to tan. I know, but you could have just achieved the same thing by wearing swimsuit bottoms you already had.
That's true.
No, not that I actually really do like your blue swimsuit.
Thank you.
I also love high-waisted bottoms, also because they hold my stomach in. So it's like, it's all the issues over here.
Yeah. But anyways, I wrote down this question. We talked a little bit about this before we started recording, but why do you think the enemy tells us these lies or starts planning these negative thoughts about our bodies and our heads? Like, why do you think that?
I think that the reason he tries to get at that is because he wants us to be unhealthy and idolize these other things, like idolizing your relationship with food and how you can achieve this other thing that you want. It becomes an idol. Yeah. Like, you are now putting this body image that you want to have or you think you need to achieve in your head, and that's what you're chasing after. And he likes to implant that in us so that our focus isn't on what it needs to be on. It's not on the Lord. It's not on, our relationship with him. It's not on our people around us that we want to continue to fellowship with. So it's like, I know everything he does is to get us away from looking to the Lord, but I think it's putting that idol in place in our head.
Yeah. And kind of going off what Nina said, it says in 1 Corinthians 10:31, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do everything for the glory of God. So, I mean, that's even eating and stuff. And I think kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like you said, some people, I don't do this, but I do have family members who, when they are sad, they cope by eating. I cope by not eating.
Yeah.
Isn't that, it's so interesting how different wired people's brains are.
It's weird. Yeah. But yeah, I have that verse, post-it noted right above my door. When I walk up my door every morning, that's what I see.
That's good. I think another reason why the enemy tells us these body image lies is to make us physically weak.
Oh, 100%.
Like, Nina, I'll be very, very candid on here. Like, even this past week when I've been struggling with these lies of the enemy, I was like, okay, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like intermittent fasting. It's like, that's always good. And so I won't eat for like 12 hours, and then I'll eat for like, I think 8 hours, whatever it is.
It's supposed to be 10 to 8.
Yeah, but I was like doing different times because I don't have to get up as early for things and stuff. So anyways, I was laying here yesterday in my room, and all last week I was making myself breakfast. I had a small breakfast, had a small lunch, had a small dinner. Like, I feel like that was pretty good and had snacks in between, which I think is good. That's what my doctor suggests that I do. Were they the healthiest meals? Absolutely not. Was I having cinnamon bread with cream cheese?
I love cinnamon bread.
I know, but was I having that for breakfast instead of like something I probably something a little bit more healthier? Yes, but I was still eating. And this week it was the polar opposite. I was not eating breakfast. I'd have a small lunch, would not eat, and then have a very tiny dinner and be starving throughout the day. And so I was laying in bed. It was like 10:30 a.m. yesterday while I was working. I'd like to express I work from home, so I was laying in bed working. Probably also not a good thing. And I'm just laying there starving myself. My stomach is grumbling. I'm like, okay, I have like 2.5 hours till noon. I'll eat at noon type of thing. Like, I'm doing this for myself, like to lose weight, like thinking it as a positive thing. And I woke up this morning kind of starting to think the same thing. And I'm like, no, how is starving myself a good, like, what am I starving myself for?
Yeah, what? Seriously, you tell me.
I'm starving myself for my body. The only person I should be starving my body for is God if I'm fasting.
Yes.
And so
that is also a different type of starving. It is putting aside these earthly things that you have to bring more glory to God and to suffer your body to show that this is the suffering Christ had. So you need to be giving that back to the Lord.
Yeah. But so I was laying there and I was noticing, wow, I'm starving. I'm now having a headache because I'm starving. I had like a really bad headache / migraine yesterday. And I'm thinking to myself, I am becoming physically weak. that the Lord was really answering this stuff today. I was becoming physically weak because of lies the enemy was telling me. If I'm physically weak and I have a headache, it's going to make me less likely to open my Bible because my head hurts and I want to just lay down. It's going to make me less want to go out and do things because of, pain and different things like that again. And it made me pose the question, why am I having these body issues? Why? Like, what's the why? And I think that's going to be a big thing with all these lies is, what's the why?
Yeah.
Am I wanting to have a better body for God, or am I wanting to have a better body because I'm single and I feel like that's something that guys will notice? Am I wanting to have a better body because I have friends who are way more toned than me and don't gain weight as quickly? And I notice guys look at her more or them more. What's the why? And I noticed my whys were that.
Yeah.
And not,
oh, I want to become more healthy. I want to start working out. Like, I want to build the muscle tone. Like,
yeah, no, it was, I want to gain muscle tone so I have more confidence and people
to have guys.
Well, I wouldn't say just that, but also I don't know. But you get what
I know what you're saying.
And so
read that 1 Corinthians verse right there.
This is 1 Peter.
No, read 1 Corinthians 6:9. I was looking at your journal. Read that one because I feel like it goes perfectly with what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, so 1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20 says, "Don't you know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from God? Yeah. You are not your own, for you were bought at a price. So glorify God with your body."
Yeah. So it's like, even in what you're saying, it's like, when you said before, you're like, who am I doing this for? Like, why am I doing this? Like, our bodies are completely a temple for the Lord. Like, we should be glorifying God with our bodies. And that's like a whole big thing with sexual morality, is talking about like, when in that scripture specifically is talking about like sexual sin and how we do that against ourselves, and we need to be pure because our bodies are a temple of the Lord. But it's like, in the same way, what you're doing is not positively affecting you. It's negatively affecting your body, and your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. So it's like, if our body is a temple for the Lord, like, we should be treating it so.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. Oh, man, I'm trying to remember what this movie is called, but it's going to drive me insane.
What movie?
So it's called I Feel Pretty. It has Amy Schumer. It is.
Yes, that movie's so funny.
It is so.
That's the one where she hits her head,
funny,
right?
Yes. It's about this girl played by Amy Schumer. This girl named Renee, and she has no confidence, and she goes soul cycle and hits her head really hard, and she basically wakes up and she has all of this confidence, and like, she feels beautiful in her skin, and she goes and gets
also
her dream
she thinks
job.
that she looks different, so every time she sees somebody, she goes, "You might not recognize me. It's Renee." And they're like, "Yeah, we know."
But it's crazy because nothing physically changed about her except for her head, and so she ends up walking in and she ends up getting her dream job, and all these things start happening because she changes her thought. But the scene,
and she meets this guy who loves her for her.
Yeah. But the scene that I was thinking about wasn't any of that. It's with an actual model name. I'm going to butcher her last name. I'm pretty sure I don't know who she's.
Emily, the Emily girl?
Yeah.
Let me see it.
She's not the one dating Austin Butler. No. Emily Ratajkowski.
Ratajkowski? I don't know.
You know what she was on? She was on iCarly when she was really young, and she played Gibby's girlfriend. Anyways, this character named Mallory is a supermodel, and this actress Emily who plays her is a real life supermodel, and Renee catches her in the bathroom towards the end of the film, and she's crying because I think a guy was playing with her, and she was saying, like, I feel so fat and all these things, and Amy Schumer's character is like, what are you talking about? You have the most perfect body, and like all these things. And it was one of those moments, and the reason it just came into my head was, it's one of those moments where you may have body issues and be comparing yourself to a girl you see on TikTok, but I guarantee you she's having
issues as well.
Like, and everything that, she puts out on social media, again, that's all the good. It's not the bad.
And it's like, even showing in the film, that it's like, this supermodel who has the like skinny waist, perfect body is having the same issues that this girl who is like, oh, like she's not overweight, but like heavier
average.
than her, heavier than this supermodel.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait, how do you feel fat when you look like this?
Yeah.
And it's like a moment of like, wow, these other people are feeling the same way that you are.
Yeah, no, and I encourage any female to watch I Feel Pretty. It is so funny, but also just, it's so true. If you just change your mindset and have a more positive, confident outlook on life, it just makes life so much better. But and with that, I have another verse. It's 1 Samuel 16 7. Yeah, 7. It says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or his stature, because I have rejected him. Humans do not see what the Lord sees, for humans see what is visible, but the Lord sees the heart."
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I think that means that before we take care of what's on the outside, I think we need to take care of what's on the inside.
Yes, and that goes along with the verse I was going to share.
Share.
Which is awesome. But like you said, and like we were talking about earlier, like when we have these, like when we're trying to idolize this perfect body image, we aren't putting Christ at the center like we should be. So it's making sure that we have our priorities set where they should. And it's, just like that. And the verse I was going to share is in Colossians 3. It says, verse 1, I don't know if I share. Yeah. Verses 1 to 5. "If then you have been raised with Christ, seek things that are above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. So put to death, therefore, what is earthly in you." Right. So it's like we need to really be setting our minds on what is ahead, what is above us, what is, not things that are on this earth. And like you said, we need to be working what's on the inside of us, not working what's on the outside, for sure.
Yeah, I think if I could put one verse though that's like going to be the verse of the episode, it's 1 Peter 3 3 through 4. "Do not let your beauty consist of outward things, like elaborate hairstyles or wearing gold jewelry or fine clothes, but rather what is inside the heart, the imperishable quality of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight." I mean, I have Christian Standard Bible, so I love that it like says like elaborate hairstyles and different things like that. But it's so true. I have this book, and if I can suggest any book that's also not the Bible in this episode, I mentioned this in a couple episodes ago, but it's called Am I Enough by Grace Valentine. I read this book in college, and I love this book. It kind of goes through, I forgot how many lies. I think it's like 8 lies or something like that, or 10 lies that the enemy will tell you or that you believe of yourself. And there's a lie about, obviously, body image. And in that, for that verse, she put, "Stop focusing on your physical looks more than your internal look. Feed yourself with the fruit of the Spirit. Fill yourself up with scripture." And I can't tell you, I feel the most confident when I am walking with Christ, when I have filled myself up with the Word of God, when I am walking with the Lord. And she has some other great points too, like, instead of focusing on having toned arms, have arms that serve God and others. Instead of having that 6-pack, work on developing a stomach filled with healthy foods and belly laughs. And then another one, instead of having toned legs, have legs that dance with the Lord and follow his lead. So I encourage you, if you're dealing with similar things that I am, or Nina is, I think it's a good book. It's funny. She I feel like she's my friend after reading that. But yeah, so I feel like the Lord's been really trying to teach me this week, this is obviously, like we're saying, a lie from the enemy, but it's like, what can I learn from this season? What can I learn from these things? And, for me, it's, I don't eat the best. So it's like, okay, I need to be praying for desire to want to eat healthier, praying for desire to be a little bit more athletic. And if any of our friends listening, I will not be playing Frisbee on Monday. I don't like to run.
I don't think that
will ever change. So if I hear one of y'all come up to me and be like, so I heard the episode and you want to be healthier, maybe you should play.
Yeah, I might play on Monday. Well, on Monday that would be when you're listening to this, but
anyways, our friend Jude was driving. We saw him driving to Frisbee a few weeks ago. He's like, guess what I'm listening to? And he was listening to the episode.
Listening to our podcast.
So,
yeah.
So anyways, I think, those are prayers that I need to start praying over myself, is wanting to develop into a healthier lifestyle and different things like that. But I think, kind of like what I said earlier, the biggest lesson I need to take away is, and this is something that I feel like the Lord's encouraged me when I hear a lie from the enemy, it's like, well, why? Why do you think that? Why? Because I guarantee you that's like not of God. And so, and I mean, for us in our singleness, Nina had her moment where she has a verse, I can tell. For us in our singleness, we're going to meet guys who love us for us. And while I think it's important to live a health, and I just would like to stress this, like, we are not saying that if you are not living a healthy lifestyle or anything, we're not like putting any shame. I think you need to do what is best for your life. I think for me, this is kind of a wake up call. It's like, okay, I may not want to be healthy. My healthy thoughts, are stemming from me wanting to have this perfect body, but also I'm putting crappy food into my body and I'm making my body weaker physically. I need to have like kind of what I was doing when I was starving myself. I need to have this strong body so I could be serving God and walking in Christ. So it's like, okay, I know what prayers I need to be praying for. I need to not be praying for a perfect body. I need to be praying for a body that is healthy and that's going to get me to where the Lord needs me to go.
Yeah.
And being confident in the skin that my body will look like when I have that.
Absolutely. My verse that I thought of when you were talking about that, like what you said, when you hear a lie from the enemy, you say why, because you said it's probably not from the Lord. And here's a good way to test if it is from the Lord. Philippians 4:8 says, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there's any excellent, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. And it just makes me think, like, and right before that, it's talking about how we shouldn't be anxious about anything. And we always say if it's making you feel anxious, it's not from the Lord. Mm-hmm. But also moving down, like, is this thought true? Is it honorable? Is it just, pure, lovely, commendable? Is it worthy of praise? Like, think about all those things. And if it isn't, it's not from the Lord. Mm-hmm. But one verse I thought of when we first talked about doing this podcast, I don't know where my phone went. I had it pulled up. It's right there. And I'm actually surprised you don't have it written down, because it's like the trademark verse for images, like when talking about image. Psalm 139:13 and 14. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. Which is just very trademark verse when talking about image. But another one I thought of was Genesis 1:27. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. So it's like, we are an image of God. Mm-hmm. And God is perfect. We aren't perfect because of the fall and because of sin in this life. But every day we should be walking in that. We are an image of God. We need to treat our bodies as such. We need to walk in that confidence. Mm-hmm. We need to continue to better our relationship and try to be more and more like him every day.
Yeah. And I think a big takeaway from this is that if you aren't confident in your body, first and foremost, and I think this is a pretty good thing, even societally, is you need to fix what's on the inside first. You need to love yourself no matter what. And then if it just so happens that you want to have a healthier lifestyle and you start noticing that you are, sorry, Nina just adjusted in her face. But it's like, if you want to, I can think of Adele. Adele was a queen of loving herself and her skin, but she decided that during the pandemic she wanted to start being a little healthier, and she started losing a bunch of weight and stuff like that because she wanted to have a healthier lifestyle. And she said in interviews that her goal wasn't to change her outwardly appearance, it was to fuel her body better. And I think that that's a really big takeaway here is the Lord wants us to live a healthy lifestyle. He wants us to have he wants us to have confidence. He wants us to have energy. He wants us to fuel our body properly. And I think a big temptation we have nowadays is fast food, is junk food, constantly eating. I mean, I can think, again, I work from home. So I'm home almost like pretty much all day. Like yesterday I was home. I didn't leave my apartment once, which isn't a bad thing, but I get almost bored hungry where there's nothing to do sometimes, or work slow or something like that. And I'm watching TV and I'm like, I should be eating a snack. And so then I'm overeating. And then it's like makes myself even more hungry throughout the day. And
me
so
when I eat a whole brick of cheese.
Oh my gosh, I've eaten like,
dude, I love it.
I had a half thing of Ben and Jerry's the other night, and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing?
I support you.
But it was dairy free. I was good. I didn't have. Nina's gonna crack up, but this is the only time I've actually this is false. I started letting myself eat dairy recently, which I need to stop it. But it was because was it Blue? What's that ice cream company? It's called
Bluebell.
Bluebell had a Dr. Pepper flavor, and it was not dairy free.
Did you eat it?
I had it for several weeks. It was a big thing, but I did eat all of it.
Was it good?
It was so good.
Okay, because you got it, and then we went to the beach, and then I never asked you about it.
So good, but I got it the week before we went to the beach, and I guarantee you that's why I was so bloated on the trip, was because I had all of that. And then I started getting normal yogurt, because normal yogurt is 10 times cheaper than dairy-free yogurt. And while I was taking a lactate, and so I wasn't experiencing pain, that's when all my bloating started.
Well, also, I probably wasn't the best influence on this, because on Monday we're driving to Chick-fil-A, because we go to Chick-fil-A every Monday after Frisbee. And Steph was like, are you going to get food tonight? I was like, I don't know, probably not. And in my head, I'm like, I'm totally going to get a milkshake, right? And she goes, I'm thinking I might get a milkshake. I said, Steph, I was thinking the same thing. You should totally get a milkshake. She's like, but I can't have dairy. I said, so what? You should have a milkshake. And
here's the thing.
You did get a milkshake.
I got a frosted lemonade.
You got a frosted lemonade, but it has ice cream in it.
So here's the thing. If I take a lactate, I don't have pain and stuff like that. But then it's like, if I do that and I make sure I'm good and take a lactate and I don't have the pain, I need to not wake up the next morning and get in and say that I'm fat. I need to not do that, because I made the decision the night before to have dairy, and that's the result I'm going to have when I wake up in the morning. So that's, that's my thing. But
yeah.
But anyways, I think our biggest takeaway when it comes to this, because I know a lot of you guys will listen to this, whether you're a guy or you're a girl. All of us at some point have had a moment where we're like, I wish we looked a different way, or something like that. For anything, you need to turn to God, and God's going to help you. So for me, it's now praying to God, okay, Lord, I need to start having better, healthy habits. So Lord, help me have this desire to eat healthy. Help me to resource that, find recipes that are within my budget and stuff like that. Help me fill up my pantry. Help me make better decisions. God's going to help encourage you, because he wants you to fuel your body well to support him in his kingdom. And also praying for that confidence. We are so beautifully made by God. Like, I saw this, one of our friends posted this on Instagram, but it's like, so pretend like we both have daughters, and our daughter, and like, when you have kids, people obviously are going to say the child looks like you. And it's like, would you tell all the things that you've said to yourself over the years, would you tell those things to your daughter? Absolutely not. So why are you telling those things to yourself?
Okay. I have a friend. Who was it? It wasn't even her. It was somebody I follow on Instagram. don't know who I was thinking of originally. It was a friend. It was not. It was some girl I follow on Instagram. Maybe I think she's my friend. She's not. I'd like to be friends with her though. She was posting in something and she was like taking a mirror selfie, and she has this picture of her from kindergarten on her mirror.
Jenner was the one who, she said this in a podcast.
It wasn't her that I'm thinking of, but
she's
it
the one who
was,
started this.
If like you said, just like your daughter, it's like, put a picture of yourself. Would you tell your kindergarten self, like you when you were younger, would you say those things to yourself?
Yeah. Kendall said this on a podcast, that her therapist suggested doing that. And can I just say, like, say what you want about Kardashians, Jenner, Kendall is a beautiful, beautiful person. I don't know her obviously personally, but she's very beautiful, like outwardly. So that's another thing. It's like, okay, Kendall Jenner's having body issues and confidence issues.
She's quite literally supermodel.
She's one of the highest paying supermodels out there. But that's true too. It's you need to find those things that are gonna help you, like, love yourself. And I think I was always told, and I know people disagree with this order, but I was always told you need to love God first and then you need to love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, how do you expect to love others?
And there's like a certain, like, not that I necessarily disagree with that, because I don't know. I've actually haven't processed that, but there is a point to that. Like, how are you able to pour out when you are bone dry? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was a verse, there was something you were saying. And it was talking about, I don't even remember your verbiage that made me think of this, but in Isaiah 43, verse 1, but now thus says the Lord, he who created you, he who formed you, fear not, I've redeemed you, I've called you by name, you are mine. And then 3 verses down, it says, because you are precious in my eyes and honored, and I love you. So it's like, that's in verse 4. So it's like, the Lord loves us. We are precious to him. The last thing on earth we want to do is, like, discredit this body that he's given us, because he's made 0 mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I think, and my prayer for not only myself, not only for you, but to everyone who's listening to this, is that we just start walking in the confidence that the Lord has given us. And if you have ever gotten, like, I know I've gotten mean comments on social media or different things like that, you know, just know that those are, again, more lies from the enemy. It's not that person saying those things, it's the enemy saying those things to you. And I know my next challenge is walking more confidently in my skin, and obviously as a human being that's going to be quite difficult, but I know that we can do it.
Yeah, and as it says in 2 Corinthians 10:5, take every thought captive, make it obedient to Christ. So the second that thought comes in your head, immediately give it right to Christ. Start praising the Lord. Dive into the Word. Mm-hmm. Do not allow yourself to sit in that, because I know how easy it is to sit in it. I do it, you know. Mm-hmm. I just shared the other night about how I literally sat in a thought I had for like a week.
Yeah.
And, like, it got me nowhere. I had no appetite.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I didn't eat for like a week.
Yep.
And then Brittany says to me on Monday, she was like, you look, what did she even say?
You look so small.
And to me, I'm like, I feel like I look the same, but thank you. It was funny.
We also have that nice, like, tan glow that, like, always makes you look a little bit more toned than you are.
True. For those of you who know me, I did get a little tan.
Nina did get tan. We both have tan lines.
It came after a severe burn, but I got tan.
I know. It's kind of same, not as bad as Nina's burn, but yeah. So that is our episode about lies about body images. If you have any lies that you feel like you want us to talk about, or maybe something that you have said over yourself, send those over. DM us on Instagram at Live by the Spirit Podcast on Instagram. We've had a few of you already send those to us. That will get us, thinking about some. But yeah, I'm excited to see, what comes of this series. And, I think kind of like today, I've been experiencing this all week. So I felt like it was, if anything, I needed to preach this to myself tonight, not just to everybody else.
Totally agree. Sometimes we just need to be talking about it. And then that's really when the Lord really hits you with it. It's like, oof,
Yeah.
It's like a knife, you know? It cuts deep.
Knife.
The truth hurts sometimes, but the truth always needs to be heard.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
Awesome. Well, we love you guys. We appreciate you. Have a fabulous week.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Peace and blessings, y'all.
Peace and blessings.